And yes, indeed, welcome everybody. It is the 7th edition of the Netcrashers Intermission, heard every single week around the world on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, netcrashers.ca, and as well YouTube. How are you, YouTube? Nice looking this evening. How you doing? Thanks for joining us.
Hey, YouTube. Good to see you.
You look pretty dapper this evening, YouTube.
Greener's in the house.
Hi.
Reynolds is in the house.
Good to be here.
I'm Leth. I'm also in the house, as you can see, and we've got lots to get through this edition of the Netcrashers Intermission. Last week's episode 6 of the Intermission was the longest ever, clocking in around 19 minutes. And I don't know if we'll go that long this time, but we're all about the quantity and the quality here at the Netcrashers Hockey Podcast.
We're like a fine mix between the Calgary Flames and the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Put it in hockey terms. That would be the weirdest team in history ever.
It's like
I think.
Being good and being lucky, right? You got to be good to be lucky. Something like that.
Something like that. You got to be dumb to be tough. You got to be tough. If you're going to be dumb, you got to be tough.
There you go.
That's
a reference that more or less we're well known with.
Yeah, absolutely. So coming up a little bit later on, we will have the second installment of the Fanboy Soapbox from one Jeremy Reynolds. No, Lord knows he has a lot to talk about as being an Oilers fan. As well, of course, we will have this week's edition of the Chirp of the Week. And we'll start things off with the 2-minute minor. It's been a busy week here on the Netcrashers YouTube channel. Of course, yesterday you may have caught the November issue of the Ice Picks video with Murph. If you haven't, go check it out right now. And with that said, I guess we'll get into this week's edition of the 2-minute minor. And as always, we do have a listener submitted question. This one from Jeff Nickerson, who submitted via netcrashers.ca. He basically asks, if the NHL was to move to a 3-versus-3 overtime prior to a shootout, which teams do you think would benefit and or hurt the most? And I know personally, I went with a benefit. I went with a team that I think would really, really benefit.
Likewise.
And I think we all did as well.
Yeah, we all went with the positive aspect.
We all like to we like to look on the bright side of life, to quote Monty Python here at the Netcrashers Hockey Podcast. So it's Reynolds' turn to kick us off this week, and if you're ready.
Okay.
There we go.
Ready to go.
Time starts. 3, 2, 1, go.
In a 3-on-3 overtime situation, you want to be able to ice the most talented group of forwards and defensemen as possible because of the desires to create offense and maintain the puck for extended stretches of time. For that reason, I believe Pittsburgh would benefit the most from 3-on-3 overtime. The most salivating combination may be Crosby, Malkin, and Letang bringing up the rear. All three players are in condition to play extended minutes, and the forward tandem can even rival. The only forward tandem in the league to rival Malkin and Crosby may be Perry and Getzlaf. The final reason for picking this combo is that all players have world-class skating ability, which is what you want when there is so much open ice.
This is a very interesting question. I chose to look at some stats that I believe contribute to the team's production 4-on-4 that would translate to being as good or more productive in a 3-on-3 situation. Breaking it down, the Montreal Canadiens look to be the team that will benefit from this rule change the most. Starting with faceoffs. This season, the Habs are tops in the league currently with 54%. The offensive zone, the Canadians are 84% in odd man situations and have an 8.3 shots per game on the man advantage. Defensively, the Habs are very strong. Carey Price being the best even strength goalie in the league, and he is top 5 in the odd man rush situations. And on the penalty kill, they are also top 10 in the league. The Canadians only have one OT loss this year and are undefeated in the shootout so far this season. They are 4-0.
And if the NHL ever decided to move to 3-on-3 overtime instead of 4-on-4, a move I think we'd all like to see, I think the Chicago Blackhawks would have the league's best OT winning percentage. Just thinking of the line combination, that 3-on-3 should have any Hawks fans salivating. Any combo of Keith and Seabrook and one of their all-star caliber forwards like Taves, Kane, Hossa, or Sharp. And even solid younger talent like Saad or Shaw will be lethal with that much open ice. And the ever-savvy coach, it wouldn't take Joel Quenneville long to realize the advantage he possesses in being able to ice two forwards in the OT period with two-way masters like Taves and Hossa in the lineup. And 3-on-3 overtime is something I really hope to see, and primarily because I can't wait to see a team like the Chicago Blackhawks shred the rest of the league up in the extra frame. Boom! Perfect. We did it! We did it.
We did it. We did it.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Netcrashers did it.
We did it.
That was the whitest
Perfect.
thing we've ever done.
If that was a flawless victory in Street Fighter, right now the announcer would be saying, "Perfect." because that's how the announcer talked in Street Fighter back in the day.
Flawless victory.
But I think all of those picks will be good. I think, like you mentioned, Getzlaf and Perry. I think Anaheim would be another good pick.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean, you got to go to the Sedins. The Sedins at 3-on-3 with any defenseman, really.
Stamkos with anybody. 3-on-3.
Stamkos with anybody. Stamkos with me and you, or me and you. That would probably work pretty well.
One of the goalie masks back here would work fine with Stamkos.
I think that this is a thing that, like, it would work for so many different teams in the NHL that I think I just really want to see it happen. And I know there's a few players. I know Tyler Seguin has actually expressed explicitly that he hopes this is the rule change that he really wants to see is moving to 3-on-3 overtime, because it just adds such a pace to the game and that much open ice. It really, I mean, you really get to see what each team is made of. It's very, very exciting hockey.
It's such a unique situation, 3-on-3. Well, you know,
it's something you never see in a regular game.
Yeah,
ever.
because you're always going to see a 4-on-4 situation. You're always going to see a 5-on-4 situation. But 3-on-3, that's a whole new kettle of fish for everyone. Everyone has to try to adapt. Every team has to adapt.
A couple teams that, like, we're talking about good, we're talking about bad, but a couple teams that I think would be a really wild card kind of situation is the New Jersey Devils and the Minnesota Wild, because they're known for their defense first attitude. How do you go into 3-on-3 overtime and try and trap? You know, how do you? Even if you're matched up against some of the best players in the NHL, and you're trying to limit them, and you want to avoid putting maybe three defensemen on the ice against these guys, it'd be very hard, because you have to make an entirely different calculation. It's not 5-on-5 play. There's all different kinds of dynamics that come into it, and you would have to have some of the best defenders in the league if you're these teams to try and shut the guys down. And you know, Adam Henrique, for as good as he is on the penalty kill, a guy like him, I don't know how he would fare 3-on-3 for an extended stretch of time. And then the line changes is also a big issue.
Same goes with Zach Parise as well in Minnesota. I mean, him and Henrique are kind of cut from the same cloth. Henrique is kind of like junior version. He's like the diet version of Zach Parise in a lot of ways.
He's a penalty kill specialist, and they're great at scoring and racking up shorthanded goals in the season. It's just you don't know what to think with that. You know, those two guys.
Well, let me pose a question to each of you. You're the coach of a team. 2 defensemen, 1 forward, or 1 defenseman, 2 forward?
It does depend on what the assets. Because when I was thinking about Chicago, I mean, obviously you got Keith and Seabrook there. I mean, obviously that's almost too tempting to not go with both of those guys. But then it depends on, like, if you have a capable, responsible 2-way forward, like a guy like Jonathan Taves or Patrice Bergeron or David Backes or Anze Kopitar or somebody like that, who's going to be able to get back in the rush and is comfortable playing that way, but can also contribute offensively. It would really depend. If I was the coach of a team like Chicago or LA, obviously I would 100%. But if you're the coach of a team where, you know, either the defense is suspect or the forward core is suspect, I mean, you're probably going to think about putting a couple of defensemen out there and just playing it safe, trying to make it to the shootout.
And you know, a team like Ottawa, they might go with the strategy of Carlson, some defense pairing with Carlson and a forward, and then you just rotate the defender and the forward and keep Carlson on the ice.
Yeah. The Lidstrom, the Lidstrom treatment back in the day when he would play a full 2 minutes of a power play and the full 2 minutes of the penalty kill. Because the entire lineup just shifts around Nick Lidstrom, essentially. That's the way it used to be. And Carlson's that kind of player also. The team I think that would probably be the worst in the NHL, besides like Buffalo and Florida, Toronto. Could you imagine how horrible it would be?
It's the defense, right? Because they got the scoring up front, but they just don't have the defense for odd man rushes.
The thought of a 3-on-3, which say Montreal is in town, and it's Subban, Markov, and Plekanec out against Kadri, Phaneuf, and Gardner. It honestly makes me want to never watch hockey again.
Oh my god!
Like, that would be the worst thing ever. That would be like watching a slow motion car crash. Oh god, brutal. All right, what do you say we get on to the fanboy soapbox? What do you think, Reynolds?
Yeah, let's do it. And
I feel like this has been bubbling up for a long time.
We didn't mention it, but another team that would totally suck 3-on-3 would be the Edmonton Oilers because they get outscored right now when they're on their own power play.
Yeah.
And
yikes.
This is leading me to the fanboy soapbox this week. So I'm going to go off the top of the head. Didn't prepare anything. So excuse me if I look unprofessional or if I just look foolish. I'm going to give it my best.
It's going to be all heart, though, all passion.
That's all we can ask for is your best, my friend. We're here for you.
All right.
You want us to hold hands? Or
Kumbaya for me. Kumbaya.
No hold. Okay.
Why don't we get going? Okay. So the Edmonton Oilers suffered a series of humiliating defeats this week. Most recently, 7-1 Saturday night at the hands of the Chicago Blackhawks, a game where they didn't stand a chance really from the get-go. 3 quick goals before the first half of the first period was over with. And a lot of people took to Twitter over the weekend talking about what's going to happen in Edmonton, but saying something has to happen. But for me, the ownership group and the management doesn't seem to want to make any moves. They're complacent to sit on their laurels and wait for something to happen. And McTavish, he is probably going to call a press conference, and the next day he's probably going to apologize to the fans, and he's going to say, I'm going to make a trade. I'm going to make a big move. But for me, this all goes back to Daryl Katz and what the team has been like in the Daryl Katz era. And it comes down to there's a lack of accountability. Before Daryl Katz, there was an ownership group. All the decisions had to be made by the group. They had a budget. There was only so much they can do, and there's a lot more people involved in the process. When Daryl Katz bought the team, it was a godsend for Oiler fans because they knew the team would remain in Edmonton after all those talks of them leaving, just like the Winnipeg Jets did before them. So there was stability there, but at the same time that happened, there was a lack of accountability. Mm-hmm. There was now money they could spend. They could go freewheel, pick up. The idea was they could go and pick up players that they would never be able to reach in free agency because of having a bigger purse to spend from. But I think because of that, with Kevin Lowe, having the rookie owner like Daryl Katz, taking his orders effectively from Kevin Lowe and his rings, more rings than he can hold on one hand. Actually, no, I think it's 5. So, we all saw if you're a hockey fan, you saw the interview he had where he talks about the amount of rings. He knows a little bit about winning, but he knows a little bit about putting his foot in his mouth as well, where he called fans who watch on TV kind of second-class citizens. But it just comes down to a lack of accountability. There was a lot more in the era where they didn't have any money, and at least that was an era where we saw them ice respectable teams. Now they can spend as much as they want. They can bring in additional coaches. They can bring in a coach every single year if they want. They can get as many draft picks as they want, but they can't win anything. They haven't won a game against a Western Conference team all year, and I don't think they're going to win one all year. So, as an Edmonton Oilers fan, I've effectively stopped watching them, but I'm watching the Toronto Raptors now, so that's nice.
It's cathartic, isn't it? It feels good to get all that off your chest.
It's, everybody thought it was going to be a new page when Daryl Katz came to town and bought the team, and he is building a new arena, but he's afraid to take ownership of this group, and a firing needs to be made. Someone needs to be taken out, pretty much the whole front office in Edmonton. And the fact that
and as much as I'm a fan of Dallas Eakins, given his history with the Toronto Maple Leafs organization, I think part of the blame has to rest with him as well, and the way this team is coached.
It is. And McTavish had Ralph Kruger in. Mm-hmm. That was a Steve Tambolini hire. He decided to get rid of Ralph Kruger after that 48-game season. It was his choice, but when you look back at it, Dallas Eakins and this team, it wasn't the most compatible fit. No. Dallas Eakins is a defense-first kind of coach, a coach where his teams were great on the penalty kill.
Yeah, and also a first-year coach.
Let's
not forget that.
The market was wide open. It's not like Dallas Eakins was the only guy interviewing for coaching jobs. No. And now Dan Bilesma's on the market. If I'm Dan Bilesma, I don't really want to go to Edmonton right now because Edmonton is where coaches go to die. But I mean, I'm fine. I'm kind of like past. I'm past the mourning stage. I've accepted it.
Yeah.
I just need to focus on. I just need to get myself a second team now.
All right, let's get on to the chirp of the week and wrap this sucker up. What do you think?
Let's do it.
Alrighty. Kelly Mercier White, Kelly, a member of the Netcrashers Fantasy Hockey League. He sent in a pretty quality chirp, I think, using the hashtag Netcrashers Chirp on Twitter. If you would like to send in your own chirp for Netcrashers Chirp of the week, do so. Use the hashtag Netcrashers Chirp. Apparently that's the hand sign for hashtag.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I know. 2014 is an awesome but also a horrible year. So Kelly tweets in, I've got coupons with better saves than you. So that is a specialty goalie-centric chirp for when your tendies just not tending as good as they can be. I like that. So thanks very much, Kelly, for sending that one in. And as I said, using the hashtag Netcrashers Chirp on Twitter, please send in your own chirp of the week, and we'll feature it here on the Netcrashers Intermission And with that said, I guess we're done. That's it.
Finito.
The 7th intermission is officially over, and we thank you so much for tuning in. And of course, remember, I should say, to submit your questions for 2-Minute Minders. Submit your chirp on Twitter for Chirp of the Week with the hashtag Netcrashers Chirp, as we just said. And Reynolds can let you know where to find us online.
Netcrashers.ca is the home base for all Netcrashers things. You can listen to the podcast on the website, or you can go over to iTunes and Stitcher Radio and hear it there. If you do, use the promo code Netcrashers when you sign up on Stitcher Radio, and please rate and review on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and also on YouTube. And want to remind you guys to check out Ice Picks, the latest installment from Matt Murphy, the 4th Netcrasher. That's out now. It's going to be recapping the 5 best plays for the month of November. So check that out. It came out yesterday. Every final Wednesday of the month. That's on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook. The group is Netcrashers Hockey Podcast. Everything is there. And on Twitter, we are at Netcrashers. We want to hear them chirps. Hashtag Netcrashers Chirp on Facebook. I mean on Twitter, but you can use it on Facebook too, I guess.
You technically can, because Facebook has hashtags now because they just want to be, they're like Twitter with like a bunch more baggage.
And I'm at Jeremy_Reynolds. Hashtag Hydra. I'm stealing it.
Yeah,
it's in the public domain now.
It is. It's in the ether. I'm at Stephen Leth, STPHEN. As I like to do on all the intermissions, I am using the hashtag Netcrashers Chirp because we want to see those chirps. We must have said something that messed you up or browned you off. Let us know. Netcrashers Chirp. Hashtag Netcrashers Chirp. Do it.
I am at NL Greener. Thank you guys very much for watching, listening, however you're getting in contact with us. We absolutely love it. We love doing this stuff. So, like we always say, keep your head up.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching episode 7 of Intermission with the Netcrashers. Don't forget to view Ice Picks. Came out yesterday on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to give Murph some daps. And don't forget, netcrashers.ca, easiest way to find us. Twitter, at Netcrashers. Submit your questions. Netcrashers Chirp. We want to hear them. We don't mind it. We don't mind taking heat. It'd be a good laugh, and you'll get some daps on the show. And always remember, lace them up.